Thank you for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu has sympathized with the families of victims of the people and government of Kaduna State over the tragedy that saw many residents of Tudun Biri killed and injured after they were mistaken for terrorists by the military. President Tinubu described the incident as very unfortunate, disturbing, and painful, expressing grief over the tragic loss of Nigerian lives. He has directed a thorough and full-fledged investigation into the incident, calling for calm while the authorities look diligently into the mishap. The president also directs swift and comprehensive medical attention for surviving victims while praying for the repose of the souls of the deceased. Well, joining us in the studio to discuss more on this is security consultant Darlington Umoru. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. That's all I would say. Good morning.
All right, good morning. And via Zoom from Texas is another security consultant, Roy Ukidieve. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Let me begin with you, Roy. This incident have been reoccurring over and over again. It's just to give an insight into the number of incidents that has happened from 2014 till now. In 2014, we had 10 incidents, a number of persons killed in military airstrikes, and then 53 for 2017, 2018, 11 2019, 13 2019, 30 2021, and December 2022, we had 60 persons killed, and December 2023, which is this year, we have, it said 85 persons were killed, but they said the number has increased as we speak. What do you make of this reoccurring issue, which even the president has described as becoming worrisome?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. And my due regards to the chief in the studio there. I am not happy. I'm not happy because my mom is from Kaduna State. And these are my maternal brothers and sisters we are talking about. My mother is a Fulani from Kaduna. And when I see things like this happen over time, it belabors my patience to understand the leadership that we have over the years. All of us knows that accident investigation is a major deterrence to future occurrence. It's not rocket science. When you investigate an accident, it quickly gives you some areas to tie up. Then, if you look at the operationability of an agency, once that agency operationability interwoves into another agency, there should be collaboration. Now, the area space that we have, it's supposed to be controlled by the Air Force. So if the Army is going to use drones, there must be an understanding. Then we also have the ground intelligence gathering system. We have the open source intelligence, we have the humans, and all other secret methods to generate intelligence. I don't know what has happened. I will never know what has happened unless our government take up the mantle of responsibility, investigate this, come out with the lines of breaches, lines of inabilities, lines of failure of intelligence, and see who is culpable. And let us begin to ascribe penalties and look at corrective measures. Thank you.
All right, before we come to the studio, let's quickly take this report where the Chief of Army Staff actually went to Kaduna to commiserate with the victims and people of that village, where he apologized on behalf of the Army.
The Chief of Army Staff en route to Tudun Biri village, where the Nigerian army drone killed villagers observing Maulud festivities on Sunday. He arrives on site to personally assess the devastating effect of the strike. Expressing regret, the army chief acknowledged that their intended mission against terrorists had an unintended impact on innocent community members. Next, the army chief paid respects at the burial site.
The Nigerian army as a responsible organ of government and organization is willing to support law-abiding citizens. More so that the unfortunate incident that happened on Sunday occurs as a result of error on the part of Nigerian army personnel. Drone observe the movement of people suspected to be bandits, and having trailed them for some time, a decision was taken to conduct a strike based on the observation of some tactics usually employed by bandits. Unfortunately, the reports we got thereafter revealed that it was innocent civilians that the drone conducted a strike on.
This is the site where the first blast took place, claiming the lives of majorly women and children. The head of the district says at least 80 persons were buried yesterday in that unfortunate incident. No crater could be seen. The locals say some victims who died fell into this well and were buried. The district head talked about the death toll. He says Tudun Biri is a diverse community of Muslims and Christians who have been troubled by bandits in the past.
Well, just about 80, the number of people that were buried, both male and female. In the past, I think about 9 people were slain by the bandits, but they kept on staying. There are Christians and Muslims living here.
Those were affected yesterday?
Including the Christians were affected.
The Baraudiko Teaching Hospital is overwhelmed. Already admitted 66 casualties with varying degrees of injuries, some severe. And due to capacity issues, victims including children are being treated on the floor. Federal support arrived in the form of a delegation led by the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawali, and Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. They visited the victims, expressing solidarity, and made commitments to ensure they get proper treatment. Minister Matawali reiterated the government's unwavering commitment to fight terrorism until the perpetrators face justice.
Well, you know, we are not going to relent to our actions, because these criminals, we must defeat them by God's grace.
Lieutenant General Lagbaja pledged the army's support, promising to cover medical expenses, and presented a 10 million naira donation to the affected victims. For the federal government, this is a time of grief. They promised to support those affected by the tragic incident. Lupe Asom, TVC News, Kaduna.
Right. Let's quickly come back to the studio now, where we have security consultant Daletin Moro react to what we just saw in the report, where the Chief of Army Staff went to commiserate with the people, acknowledged their errors, and also made some donation of about 10 million naira to the survivors, and some other items. And we saw the federal government's delegation also there.
Can they bring lives back?
No, they can't.
An error too many. A tragedy for Nigeria. A bad image for Nigeria. Men of the Nigerian army, gallant soldiers, who are making impressive contributions to safeguard the ordinary people, the harmless people, themselves committing tragedy has destroyed lots of lives. The unmanned aerial vehicle, there's nothing accidental about it.
How do you mean?
The operations of the unmanned aerial vehicle, particularly the combat aerial vehicle, there can never be anything like accident. Somebody operates it from a room, follows it with the system, monitors and defines the images provided by the UAV, and then you take action as a team when you would have concluded there was time to unleash. You would have been convinced that the people, the images provided were those of the enemies. You have surveillance area vehicles, unmanned area vehicles. You have the combat area unmanned area vehicles. I was glad that Nigeria has advanced. The military has gone beyond the attack with helicopters and the Tucanos manned by humans. Provides less colossal effect to the military when they adopt the use of the unmanned area vehicles. I venture that unmanned area vehicle is brought down. Forgive me, please. I venture that unmanned area vehicle is brought down. You have less colossal damage because there would not be any pilot in it. The military, the army, the Air Force was quick to say they had not carried out any such activity in the last 24 hours before that incident happened. They quickly exonerated themselves. Why should it be so?
Why shouldn't it?
They work as a team. The military is a combined force from different arms or different services that are carrying out these security activities, fighting insecurity. It is not time to apportion blames. It is not time to exonerate yourselves. It is time to feel the pains of the people. We have had incidences like this in about 5 states, or 4, if I'm not mistaken. I'm talking emotionally because I feel pains where you misjudge movement, gathering, miscommunication, intel gone wrong. That's what it is. And then we are still counting the number of lives lost. Kaduna, we know, has been in the news in most times for the activities of bandits, just like we have in Zamfara State. So, beyond the artificial intelligence, there should be the human intelligence. And so a corroboration of all of this should define when the unmanned area vehicle should strike. There should be clearance. And so who gave the orders? Twice?
Yes.
It was alleged that the unmanned area vehicle dropped bombs. The first came and people were trying to help those of them who were still alive, and it returned.
And dropped again.
To finish up. If peradventure they suspected this tragedy to have been the activities, like they said, to be those of bandits, the ground troops would have been ready to clean up after the area bombardment. Like Roy said, the 3 armed forces are specialized in carrying out their primary responsibilities in different ways. You call them the Air Force. It means the force, area force. They are meant to operate in the air. Naval, they are supposed to operate on waters. The army, on ground. And so if the army is operating drones, I guess that was why the Air Force quickly says they were not involved. Because every finger would immediately point at the Air Force, supposedly to have carried out an area bombardment. But what do we have? There's nothing wrong if the army has to operate drones, but with what expertise?
That's the question some Nigerians are asking.
I am one Nigerian who has cried severally to say we should go technology, the technological way that we should employ the use of drones, the unmanned aerial vehicles, which is largely being used outside this world, outside this country. And now we have them, particularly the combat one, and then we cannot handle it.
Right. That's right. Let me go to Royal Hidebe on Zoom. The troops actually are sent in to, ostensibly protect the population, the Nigerian masses. But, it's a sad tale that we have to tell this morning, sitting here and having to, talk about the impact of these mistakes that they did. How do you think this speaks to the training of the armed forces, soldiers precisely? Do you feel that they should the military should suspend the drone activities in the meantime until they get to the root of this, investigation, so that they will be able to learn how to launch attacks in the near future?
It's just it's a heavy morning, and we don't have any choice anyway. We must continue to lend our voice, and your station is doing its best also to create the avenue. Let me respond to you like this. The Chief of Defense Staff, he has been doing a lot. He has been doing a lot. You know me, if something is going to the left, I will say it. I'm impressed. I'm happy with what the Chief of Defense Staff is doing. I'm happy with what the Inspector General of Police is doing so far. And I'm looking at their limited opportunities. And let me tell you, if we want to appreciate and continue to apply technology, especially the drone technology, we must recognize that there is a physical presence on ground that must collaborate and corroborate what you see by your area vision. Okay, let me ask a question. The local government chief that was on your video right now talking, what is his role as a village head to help the agencies? We agree, we know that so many local government chairmen have been arrested. So many village heads have been arrested for connivance and collaboration with banditry and terrorism, kidnapping. So what is his own role to say, I am supposed to be the one they are supposed to have been calling to ascertain with my own local network what they see before an approval is given for the launching? Are we threatened here? Do we see suspicious movement here? That means his office as a village head is not trusted. Another area I will also mention is the governor. The governors forum has been approached many times to say, harmonize the people from your states that are retired from the military, the police, the DSS, the immigration, harmonize them, the ex-service of those agencies in your office. And they are spread everywhere around the state. Those are people you can even trust to say, what is happening there? Are we good to go? You will say, no, these are our brothers, so please. So we don't have that correlation. The trust should be built up to meet up with the current expectation of exchanges of intelligence. So there is a failure in that aspect.
Okay. Let's bring the conversation. Or you want to follow up?
Right, definitely. So I was just thinking, for instance, the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar advocated the need to develop counterinsurgency strategies that would insulate the civilian population from tragic incidents of this nature. So the truth is, it's not a sound argument that, when we hear, collateral damage and all of that, how do we better prevent this in the future? And do you feel that this might also, this also is a setback to our prosecution of war against insurgency in the Northeast?
Yes, it is. It is, because there must be some kind of trauma care that should be done on the fighting troops right now because they are also bereaved. We as military personnel, we are Nigerian children. We don't own up to local, ethnic, religious, or any group. As you are a military personnel, you are the green, white, green that everybody sees. So right now, there is a serious in-house mourning going on. Now, if you want to look at the use of the drone technology and the compulsion to move up with the fight against terrorism, you must agree that accidents happen. You know, that therapy must be done to everyone, the villagers, Nigerians in general, and our military personnel. Don't forget, just recently, the fight between Israel and Palestine. Some of Egyptian outstations, outposts, some other countries were bombed, were attacked mistakenly or thereabout during the exchanges that happened, you know. And this thing has also shown that there is miscalculation in some technological assumptions. So we must continue the war. We must continue to apply the drone technology, but we must build with other measures to interface with the ground opportunities to confirm all of the intelligence that we are getting on area level. Once we can confirm those intelligence, we are good to go and we'll hit the results. You can see the devastating effects. If those were terrorists, that is the results that you will get. So I beg everyone to endure this misappropriation of intelligence, to endure this loss and give our military the warm hug that they need to also cry internally and continue the fight.
But the question will be, for how long will they endure this misappropriation?
No. The opportunity to look at where the lines were broken is left in the hands of the leadership in Nigeria to do a thorough investigation. Let me tell you, there are assumptions already. There are assumptions that, are you sure these persons that operated this drone are not among the moles that walked into the military? There are other assumptions. Yeah, assumptions are abound. Are you sure that this, because that area is where these bandits usually come together in celebration times like this, like Malud, you know, and the military have been watching it. So are you sure that the bandits themselves did not bribe? Don't forget that we just started to prosecute sponsors of terrorism. I hope you read it in the news. You know, so we said we are prosecuting them now. All the people Malali and his team listed on the list. Now, is this a backlash? Are they now using finances to penetrate the military operations, to abuse the hierarchy and the integrity of the military by causing casualty? So we must, that is why the investigation must be taken out from the military, taken out from the core military expectations, like what we are doing in CBN by the president right now. It's what should be done, an external intervention to look at the lines that were broken, because there are assumptions, and until you heal the people by dispelling the assumptions and authenticating the error, then you will now have the opportunity to utilize that same process and begin to hit on the bandits.
Right. Let me bring the conversation to you. He asked some pertinent question, and he said that we have begun to prosecute sponsors of terrorism, and perhaps this could be a backlash, so to speak, with regards to the prosecution that the government is looking to do and bring them to book, so to speak. I wonder if you also interpret it as such, and if we can also weed out this fifth columnist who perhaps bring themselves or make themselves as persons who want to undermine efforts of government at addressing these issues of fighting terrorism and insecurity in the country.
I'm glad you called all of that assumptions. There are no facts. Until we have facts to back them up, they should not be subject for serious discussion. But when you assume, it is more or less like an opinion which may not correctly be factual. And so I'm very conscious about discussing issues that have not been established as facts. They could be seen as possibilities, but have they been established?
Right. And that is why we intend to have a thorough investigation into the matter, as the president has called.
Thorough investigations. What have been the results of all the investigations we have had when we have this kind of accidents?
So you're not seeing any hope coming, you know?
What hope? What hope? We are talking about colossal damage here, a tragedy that is going to give this country a very bad image, a very bad name before the international community. The NSOs will come after us. We've had situations where sometimes the hands of our gallant soldiers are tied by virtue of the assumptions and reports of some of these international organizations. We've seen situations where some of them come up. I don't want to mention any particular. There's a particular one that will always tell you that the Nigerian military goes after, in most times, innocent civilians. And so what are we talking about here? The basic thing I think should be addressed right now is our border management. If our border management is properly addressed and we are able to curb the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, these bandits will not have this opportunity of gathering and allowing some of these things to be misinterpreted. We have not really been able to address our borders, the land borders where these small arms and light weapons pass to come into this country. The west, the southwest here, we are safe because we have gallant men who are ensuring that most of these small arms and light weapons don't infiltrate through the land borders here. You remember in 2019 that the office of the NSA instituted what they call the joint border patrol teams. Yeah. And they were in 4 sectors. And the southwest is the sector 2 that covers Lagos, Ogun, Oyo. Okay? Now, these same people are spread across all the borders. You had a president who just left office who at a time told you that it baffles him. And then he was overwhelmed that those borders in the northern part of the country could not be protected. And then you have this sector here, the sector 2 in the southwest, that is making you and I, that is ensuring that you and I are safe here. Now, one of these operations is led by somebody called Dinya Sabo. Okay? He was in the Lagos operations where even on the Badagry waters that linked the other country, he was able to achieve so much. Now, because of his achievements, he has been moved to the Ogun operations. In the Ogun operations, we have seen a lot of results, a lot of seizures of firearms that are concealed. And there are means of conveyance. If we have the likes of Dinya Sabo, in the other sectors, in the other operations, you have another person manning the Lagos operations now. Okay, aside from the normal, that body is combined of the Army, the Navy, I think Air Force, DSS, DIA, and then the Customs. It's an interventionist force. Okay, outside the normal customs activities and the rest of them. Now, if we have the likes of Dinya Sabo across all the sectors, it's not the coordinator. It's not the coordinator, but what we need, like I'm saying right now, is how much is the country doing to mop up arms that is fueling the activities of bandits and banditry in Nigeria. Look at what we are saying. They said, they thought, because Kaduna has been almost overtaken in the past by bandits' activities. Right. And some of those local governments are places where these people gather to carry out activities. So why would they not misinterpret it? Right. How do we mop up firearms from the hands of these people?